There we go. All right.
Great. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us for Courage Connects. This is the kickoff for 2026. We had a lot of really amazing presentations last year, and I know that we're about to have a really good one right now. So, thank you again for joining. Thank you, Brian Brandt, for presenting for us today. He's the president and CEO of Core Insights, leadership development company, and he has more than 30 years of leadership experience. And we're about to be the beneficiaries of that experience as he talks to us about goal setting, habit building, and how to take steps to create positive routines, and then the huge benefits that we can experience as a result of that. So, thank you for taking the time again, Brian. And with that, I will turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Trevor. I certainly appreciate it. And it is always good to be with Courage Health in any way that I can. I have great respect for the organization, for the mission, for the leadership team and the staff and the board and the participants. I just think it's an unbelievable organization. I get to brag about it regularly. It's great to be a part of it today. So, I want to start as we think about goal setting and habit building. I want to share a story about Warren Buffett. So, we all probably know Warren Buffett as the great investor. And usually, when I check, he's got a wealth of about $145 billion. It's starting to go down because he recently retired and he's in the process of donating his money away. But one of the things that I found interesting as I have looked at the life of Warren Buffett is that one time he got up and was speaking to a group of high school students. And he told them this. He said, I want you to imagine that today I offer to give you the car of your dreams. Any car you want, I will buy for you. But then he threw a little kick in there. He said, but here's the caveat is that it's the one car that you'll have the rest of your life. You can't have any other car. It's going to be the one car that you have. And that got the kids thinking a little bit. And then he asked them, he goes, if you knew that it was the only car you were ever going to have, what would you do? And people said things like, man, I would protect it. I would keep it covered as much as I could. When it was getting even close to time to change the oil, I would change the oil. I would check all the fluid levels probably on a daily basis. And they just kept going on and on about the care that they would give that car. And he said, here's what I want you to know is you have one body and one mind, and you'll never have another body and you'll never have another mind. And I want you to take care of your body and mind as if it was that one car that you could have for the rest of your life. And so I thought it was appropriate as we started this time with Courage Health and thinking about goal setting and habit building that we think about, you know what, from a health standpoint. And I want us to think about goals from various facets of our life today. But it makes sense that as we're doing this with Courage Health, that we give a lot of attention to our health. And this last year and this current year already, I'm giving a lot of attention to my health and fitness. And we're going to talk about that a little bit here in a minute. But here's the agenda for my time with you this afternoon. We're going to envision what we would like the future to be like. We're going to envision 2026. And then we're going to talk about goals and habits. And I'm going to challenge you to design a habit. Then we'll have a little Q&A. It can be with me, and we'll bring Trevor back on if he's willing and needed. And then we'll wrap up with just our path to progress. So that is my agenda for my time with you. So I asked you to pull out a piece of paper and a pen as people were coming in. So I want you to imagine this with me. Imagine it's 1 year from today. It's January 13th of 2027. And 2026 was a great year. It was a fabulous year. And I want you to think about the things that you accomplished that you'd been wanting to see happen in your life. I want you to just pause for a minute. I'm going to just pause and not say a thing and let you think about that. I want you to think about those things that you go, man, 2026 would be a great year if these happen. And now look back as if we were January 13th, 2027. What brought a smile to your face? And I want you now on that piece of paper, write down some goals based on what brought those smiles to your face. What are the things that you wanted to accomplish? And I put some considerations there. They may be experiences that you may want to have. It may be related to specific relationships. It may be related to your spiritual life. Absolutely. I think it should be related to your health and fitness. And I'm going to give you 4 minutes and I'm going to ask down as many kind of goal based items as you can in those 4 minutes. And then I'll come back and pick up after that. So I'm going to give you 4 minutes to do that. Write as much as you can. All right, 1 more minute. All right. So hopefully you wrote down some things that you go, you know what? If these get accomplished in these next 50 weeks, 2026 is just going to be a fantastic year for a variety of reasons. And what I want you to do now is I want you to circle one of the things that you wrote down that really stands out to you, that you would just be absolutely thrilled if it happened. For the sake of today's training, I want you to focus on one thing. So go ahead and circle that one thing. And then I've got a quote for you. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I did bring this up. I want you to type into chat what you circled and why it matters to you. So type into chat what you circled and why it matters to you. I'm going to look down here at the chat, see what we've got coming up. All right. Thank you, Sally. Keep them coming. Improve relationships. Absolutely. All right. Keep on typing those in. But Cubby says this. I'll let you read that. So, what you just did in those few minutes already is you started thinking about that destination. You started thinking about here's what I would like to have happen. Here's what I would like to accomplish. And when we get clarity on that goal, that destination, that end in mind, then we can go, okay, what are the right steps to take? And those steps, when they become habit, they change our lives. They change our mindset. They change our way of life. They change our health and our fitness and so much more. So I like to think of it like this: goals are the destination, and habits are those daily and weekly actions. And I do think this quote in the middle: goals are good, but habits bring goals to fruition. And so as we think about our habits, the nice thing about it is that they compound for us. And there's a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And in the book, he makes a great argument that our habits either compound for us or against us. And you can think of it in a few different ways. You can think of it like investing. You know, if you make a little bit of an investment on a weekly or monthly basis, over the course of a long period of time, that just grows. It grows significantly, it grows exponentially. And if we have this identity based habits, so for example, if we have it in a mindset of, you know what, I am going to be a healthy, fit person. And what do healthy, fit people do? They eat right, they exercise, they stretch, they do things that contribute. And then when they do them consistently over a period of time, there are great benefits. So I want to briefly share with you two little stories about habits that I started related to health and fitness in 2025. So, one thing that I looked at as I did a lot of reading on the subject of health and fitness is I realized how important sleep is. And I looked at my sleep, and my sleep wasn't very good. It wasn't as consistent as it needed to be, and I wasn't getting the rest, and I wasn't restoring my body like I needed to. And so I actually went on to ChatGPT and I told ChatGPT to ask me 10 questions related to sleep and then prescribe to me some things that I needed to do to improve my sleep. And so rather than just reading an article on improving my sleep, I had it ask me questions so that it knew where I was. And one of the things that it talked about was just reducing my time on the screen and reducing looking at the screen at night. And so there were times in early 2025 and many years before, where if I woke up in the middle of the night, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., I would get on my phone and I might read something, I might doom scroll, I might do all kinds of stuff. And, I realized that was not serving me well. So what I did was I just made it a point to at night, I just wouldn't look at my phone. And I tell you what, my sleep improved drastically and swiftly. Within a week or so, I was sleeping so much better. I was waking up feeling more rested. Now, I want to tell you, there did turn out to be a negative consequence to this. So, quick side note is one night I went to bed on a Saturday night and I went to bed early. I had had a very long physical day and I went to bed early. And I woke up about 1:30 and woke up to go to the restroom, walked out into the hallway and noticed that there were lights on where they normally weren't at night. And then I looked and noticed that we had lights on upstairs. So I went upstairs to turn those lights off. And there was a 6'3" man that I'd never seen before standing in my son's room. Well, it turns out that my daughter and a male friend, not a boyfriend, but a daughter and a male friend, had decided to drive from college to our home that night. They had been in contact with my wife, but I was completely oblivious to it all. Fortunately, I'd also been training myself to have measured responses to things. And turns out I come downstairs and I looked at my phone and went, huh, there's a lot of messages between my wife and my daughter about this situation. And I walked back up, put on some more clothes, walked back upstairs and greeted the man and met my daughter and gave her a big hug. So there sometimes are some negative consequences to habits, but that is one where I drastically improved my sleep. Another one is mid-November. I decided I was going to start doing Tai Chi to give myself better mobility, give myself better balance, and just improve my overall health. And almost every morning, I did Tai Chi. And then I liked it so much, I started doing it at night, just little 20-minute routines. And it drastically improved my mobility and my comfort and overall feel. Just good stretching. Yoga would do the same thing, but this was another approach. So habits compound for us when they're good habits, and they compound against us when they're not. So I want you to consider the goal that you circled, and I want you to brainstorm one small daily or weekly habit that would move you toward that goal. You know, let's see. I saw improved relationship with son. So, maybe it's sending a note weekly, making a phone call, you know, planning a trip, all kinds of different things. But I want you to think about with that one goal you circled, what is one habit that you can move towards that? And so on your paper, I want you to answer the 4 questions that I have there. Take a minute, write your response to those questions. And I'll hit upon the reminder cue while you're doing that. Is it is so important for us to have something that's going to remind us to take that step. And it may be setting alarms. It may be a sticky note position somewhere. It may be last night, I set my clothes out to exercise this morning before I went to bed. So that when I woke up, I saw those and I went, yep, time to go exercise. So think about those reminders. All right. So again, as you're writing down some of those small habits that you can make, I want to make this comparison that you see on the screen. When we make those small habits, we have some success along the way versus on the left, the representation of a ladder that it's like most people couldn't even reach that bottom rung. And if they could grab on, how are they going to get their legs up there? And so be mindful that making some of these small steps can make some improvement. I'm doing a thing for this year that started January 1st called 75 Hard. And 75 Hard is designed to push us outside of our comfort zone, stretch us, but also get rid of some bad habits and create some good ones. And so for 75 days in a row, I have to work out for 45 minutes twice a day. And one of those workouts has to be outside and they have to be separated by 3 hours. So I couldn't just do an hour and a half workout. I have to drink a gallon of water. I have to follow a a meal plan. And so I choose the Mediterranean diet. Other people are just choosing not to eat any sugar or whole foods or things like that. No alcohol, and you have to take a daily progress picture. Well, what I'm seeing is it's creating some great habits in me. I am so much better hydrated than I usually am. I used to start my day every day with two big chais, which was a high calorie way to start my day. But also, everybody that's in this little small group that I'm in that's doing this 75 hard program, they're saying how much clarity of mind they have because they're drinking more water. They're not inhibited by other stuff. They're sleeping better. So habits work for us. And especially, I mean, if it's a good habit. All right. So I want us to type into chat, or you can unmute yourself and answer these questions. What made some habits that we looked at today feel realistic versus too big? And then how can we make sure our habit sticks? So type that into chat, or again, feel free to unmute and answer these two questions with us. All
We have
right.
in the chat, Beth says letting others know what those habits are.
Okay, absolutely. That's great.
Let's see. Patience is my word for 2026 and creating
Okay.
habits that support my new medication and journey. And starting out slow. Are you able
Okay.
to see these on the chat or do you want me to
I
continue?
I keep going. You're doing
Okay. Sally says starting out slow and progressing from there.
Yeah, hold on a second. That's
Uh-huh.
a great one. And one of the things, I'm sorry, one additional thing in 75 hard that I forgot to mention is you have to read 10 pages of nonfiction every day. Well, 10 pages is not very much, but you get going and you read 10 pages and you're like, oh, I want to keep reading. And so I think Sally brings up a great point there. Yeah, thank you, Jacob. Accountability partners are awesome. Absolutely. Any others?
Tracking progress and adding things to a daily to-do list. That's a good one too.
Yes. Yeah, great points. tracking progress. I'm going to show y'all a very simple item here in a moment. Absolutely, that's so important. And if we've got that someplace where it's kind of front and center and we see that, that's motivating. Yeah, Gray, using celebrations, give yourself little treats along the way that are appropriate. Let's see what else was up there. Yeah, calendaring. If you're I'm a big calendar person. I kind of live by my calendar. Adding it to my calendar, adding it to my daily to-do list, all of those are great. Yes. All right, excuse me. Sorry about that. That's good, Jennifer. Could I do this on my worst day? And that's part of it on some of these habits is we go, you know what? I'm going to make this something that I do kind of rain or shine. And then others you can go, you know what? I'm going to do it 6 out of 7 days or 5 out of 7. That's going to be great progress. You're going to make progress towards those goals. So as we move forward, I want to open it up to questions. Anybody got any questions as we start to wrap up our time together? And these really could be questions for me, or they could be questions for the staff who have a lot of expertise. And you could type them into chat and Wendy will read them for us. So one question I get quite a bit is, how do I know how big of a goal? And I I think goals are a thing where it depends upon the person. And so right now I've been working on a bucket list that includes goals that will go for years on out. And other times I have goals for the month, other times I have goals for the year. And so I think it depends a little bit upon the personality, but also I would say it just depends upon what you want to accomplish. The more we have clarity and vision for our lives, the more intentional we can be, and thus the more successful we're going to be. And success is what the kind of success you want to be. I mean, I can't describe what success is for any of us.
I think a few people, somebody kept asking about the 75 hard. So
Yes.
I found a link to put in there, but you might go a little bit more into that. And I think Amber was asking about the reading material involved in that too, nonfiction or current events or history related material.
Yeah. It's there's not a you're not signing up for something. It's just something this man has uh, kind of put out there almost as a challenge. And so it is pretty simple rules, the rules that I shared with you. Again, it's the exercise twice a day for 45 minutes, separated by 3 hours. One of them has to be outdoors, no alcohol, 1 gallon of water a day, 10 pages of nonfiction. But yeah, you determine what that is as long as it's not fiction. You can't read John Grisham for this. And you have to take a daily progress picture. Do you have to share the daily progress picture? No, but you have to take a daily progress picture. So it's uh it's not super complex, but it's just challenging enough that, I'm just waiting for that day where it's 33 degrees and raining all day long, and I've got to go, outside and exercise for 45 minutes. That's going to be challenging. Jennifer, I saw the look on your face. I'm going to call you and ask you to be my partner that day and go out.
I'll cheer you on virtually.
Okay. All right. All right.
I couldn't do the cold. I'm kind of like the cold plunges.
Any other questions, Wendy? Okay. I'm
I
going to
don't
move us
see any.
along. Okay. So as we start to wrap this up, and I'll share a story in a moment, but as you think about it, I want you to think about, hey, the habit that I said, I'm gonna take the challenge, and for 21 days, I'm gonna I'm gonna follow that because we build habits when we do things consistently for 21 days. And like Jennifer said, it is great to use some kind of a tracker. Okay, it can be something super simple, like a calendar or a chart, but it builds momentum when you see that. You know, here in a couple hours, I'm going to send day 13 check that I've finished 75 hard to my group. And you know what? That's going to feel good. And oh, the one thing I didn't tell you about 75 hard is if like if I read 8 pages instead of 10, I have to start over on day one. Okay. So you got to do 100% every day. And if you mess, you start over from the beginning. All right. So that's some good things to think about on path to progress. A tracker could be as simple as what you see on the screen, just some blocks where you go check, done, or, whatever it is. Maybe you write down what it is you accomplish, but do something consistently for 21 days related to the goal that you circled earlier. So I'd encourage you, the document you just have been writing on, take a picture of it. That way you're going to see it when you're at the grocery store and you flip through to look at something, or just keep that top of mind. But I want to close with the story of Nehemiah. Nehemiah is a historical hero of mine. And he had a clear, meaningful goal, and that was to rebuild the wall around Jerusalem. So, for about 120 years, that wall had been destroyed, and the people of Jerusalem were vulnerable. And his heart broke for that. And he said, you know what? I want to be a part of solving that. And he broke that goal of building the wall into small daily tasks. He created some habits. And interestingly enough, in just, I think it was 53 days, he rebuilt the wall around Jerusalem with his people. And he faced distractions like cold weather. He stayed focused, so it's good for us to remember that we're going to have obstacles, we're going to have challenges, there are going to be things outside of our control. But if we've developed these habits and we have that vision of what we want to have happen, that consistency will reap great dividends. So consistency for Nehemiah led for breakthrough, and that wall was rebuilt, and the people were protected in Jerusalem. And so as we wrap this up, it is just great for us to remember that it is great to set a goal, but it is even better to build those habits. And I want us to think about the words of Henry Ford. Whether you believe you can do a thing or not, you're right. So thanks so much for your time. Thanks for the opportunity to prepare for this and lead this. It was a great reminder for me about building habits that help us to accomplish our goals. So I'll turn it back over to Trevor for any closing comments. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brian. I think we do have another question that popped up in the chat. How do you keep from getting overwhelmed when you have several goals that you really need to work on at the same time?
Would say it's about scheduling. It's about figuring out how do you make those work within your schedule. And also, I would say it's about what do you need to eliminate? A lot of times, if these are things that really are going to take some time and we've said they're a priority, then we probably need to take some things off of our plate as well.
A great point.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Brian, again. Really, really appreciate your time. This was fantastic information. So yeah, thank you so much.
My
Thank you,
pleasure.
Brian.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.